Good evening, this is BrassTacks. I'm Zakir Jacob. The controversy over the BBC documentary is spreading across campuses in the country, from JNU to Jamia, Delhi University, HCU. Curiously, it seems to be confined to these handful of campuses where left-back students' unions are active. Nowhere else, certainly not on the streets among ordinary people, is there any buzz about this documentary. It's almost like people either don't know or don't care. It's mostly a shrug of indifference. So, is there something happening in these specific campuses? If you go back and look at some of the other controversies that have broken in the past, whether it's the CAA protests and other protests, have also more or less originated from these campuses. Are there some kind of outside forces at play? Because why is it that if this documentary, there is so much chatter around it in those campuses, why is it not having resonance outside, out on the streets? The question then that begs to be asked is, who then is stoking these fires inside our campuses? But first, the story.
Delhi University's arts faculty turned into a war zone today. A screening was planned of the controversial BBC documentary on Prime Minister Modi. But large gatherings were banned outside the arts faculty as a precautionary measure. Right before the screening was to begin, police swooped down and hauled away dozens of students.
So now you can see Delhi police has also intervened, and these students are getting detained here because Section 144 has been imposed. Delhi police is detaining around 20 to 25 students from the NSUI Kerala Students Unit.
At Ambedkar University, authorities cut off power supply and blocked a similar screening.
Delhi police is also inside along with the team of BSES because remember the electricity supply was cut off to stop the students from screening this very controversial documentary. But yes, the students are doing the same thing as what we saw in JNU happening. A QR code has again been circulated.
Earlier this week, students of Jawaharlal Nehru University resorted to watching the documentary on their phones and laptops after the administration switched off the electricity. Classes have been suspended in Jamia Millia Islamia after the university blocked attempts by students to hold a mass screening of the BBC documentary. The campus chaos is not restricted to Delhi. Left student bodies organize screenings on campuses of universities in Kolkata, including at Presidency.
Students of Presidency University right now, they are sitting here and watching it. Yesterday also in Jadavpur University, this documentary was showcased.
Both parts of the documentary were screened at the Hyderabad Central University despite protests by the ABVP. In Kerala, the ruling CPM student and youth wings screened the documentary in multiple colleges. 11 years ago, the Special Investigation Team filed a closure report and gave a clean chit to Narendra Modi over the 2002 Gujarat riots. 2 years ago, the Supreme Court upheld the clean chit. So why are campuses still adamant on screening India, the Modi question? Is it dissent or a deliberate bid to provoke?
All right, joining us on the talking point this evening, Dr. Makarand R. Paranjpe is professor at the Jawaharlal Nehru University, Ratan Sharda, RSS researcher and author, Sanjay Jha, former Congress leader and political analyst, Sahil Bodhwar is a state committee member of S5 Delhi, and will also be joined by Abhijit Majumdar, consulting editor with First Post. Dr. Paranjpe, let me start with you first, because there seems to be some kind of a recurring theme or a pattern here where it seems to be the same set of campuses, JNU, Jamia, Presidency, Calcutta, Hyderabad Central University, whether it was the anti-CAA protests or now this BBC documentary. And why it's curious is because while there's so much of storm around this documentary inside these campuses, outside, out on the streets, people either don't know or don't really particularly care.
Absolutely. In fact, I want to use your channel to appeal to students as well as caution them, especially the innocent ones, the sincere students in these universities, not really to be seduced by this propaganda, because the hardcore cadres of certain political outfits are organizing these protests, and an innocent student is going to get misled. This is certainly not a question of free speech. I've written a whole book on what happened in JNU. So there is a very big, I don't want to use the word conspiracy, but there is an attempt to create yet another student movement against the Modi Sarkar, against BJP, and they're the same actors. In fact, I might tell you that at the beginning of this year, I got a telephone call from somebody, I can't mention my source here, but from abroad, and they said, Makran, just watch as the year progresses. One after one after one, there's going to be bombshells. Things are going to be put out there to discredit this government and discredit India as well. So if I were an investigative journalist, which I'm not, I'm an academic, I'm an intellectual, I would like to delve into this whole chain of events, this whole thread, what is it that is going around and who's funding it, who's behind it. And again, I must say that I want to tell my student friends that what is screened and not screened in a university campus depends on the university administration. The JNU administration put out an advisory. Mm-hmm. At your own peril, you will defy the administration because they can take action against you. So it's not worth it. In fact, I don't tell any student not to see anything. If you want to see the film, see it in your own room. It's not banned as far as I know. Mm-hmm. If you want to see it on your phone or whatever laptop, go and see it. Make up your own mind. But to join this kind of insidious seeming protest, it's not even a protest, is to jeopardize their future, I believe, and their career. And they should not be, I think, seduced by the appeal of such propaganda in the first place.
So, Sanjay Jha, we've seen this in 2015 when the JNU protests happened. We've seen this again in 2020 when the anti-CAA protests essentially started from these campuses and then spread to Shaheen Bagh. Every time this has happened, it has helped Mr. Modi and rally his base. It has riled up his base. A lot of his supporters feel that this is some kind of vested propaganda. This is some kind of a conspiracy. There are people out there who are trying to get him, and it has helped him electorally. You look at the election victories in those years, it has always overwhelmingly been in favor of the BJP. Do you reckon that the fact that this story, and this is what I find curious again, there's so much of a storm in some of these campuses where left-back unions are very active, whereas the rest of the country doesn't seem to particularly care about this documentary. And every time this has happened, it's only helped polarize in a way that it helps the BJP electorally.
Zaka, I want to make 2 points here. Number one, I disagree with the previous speaker. I think universities and colleges worldwide are actually, they stand for an ideological diversity. Some of them may be more liberal, some of them may be, very woke. Others may even be conservative. It all depends. I mean, there are a lot of people who believe that certain, colleges and institutions are usually, most of the time, more freedom-loving, more revolutionary in their thinking. And that is the way it has been through history. Some of the biggest protests in the world against repressive governments have started in universities. The second point is very, very important that you raised about the fact that Mr. Modi benefits electorally from, every time the Gujarat 2002 riots are talked about, where the very Supreme Court, that the BJP courts very often refer to Mr. Modi and his Gujarat government as Emperor Nehru, which I believe is a severe indictment of their, political performance at that point of time. But let me give you an example here. I have been a Congress supporter. I continue to be one. 1984 Sikh riots, in my opinion, were heinous. They were horrific. And it was, in my opinion, something that all of us as Indians should hold our heads down in shame.
Yeah.
You know what? The Congress won general elections thereafter. Not just after in 1984, the Congress won again and again. And I can tell you the Congress formed a government in Punjab thereafter. Dr. Manmohan Singh became the Prime Minister. Yet, if today the BJP or any TV anchor or anybody for that matter were to be critical of what happened in 1984 Sikh riots, absolutely justified. Mr. Modi can win 10 elections for all I care. But the truth of life, Zaka, is that what happened in Gujarat was a genocide. It was a state-sponsored pogrom. Supreme Court called Nehru. What did the Supreme Court mean? And you can have one Supreme Court verdict on the conspiracy case saying that there's no case against him, but that does not mean that innocent people did not die. It did not mean that Babu Bajrangi and Maya Kodnani were not convicted of brutal murders under the watch of the chief minister.
So one second. There are two parts to this. Is your case, and when I say you, I don't mean you individually, Sanjay Jha, but the case against the then Gujarat chief minister, is it that he looked the other way while the riots were happening, or was there a conspiracy? Because clearly the conspiracy part has been thrown out by the Supreme Court, right? That is the Supreme Court verdict as it stands as of last year. I don't want to go into the elaborate details of it. But I don't think what Mr. Modi was accused of for the last 20 years was just merely failing law and order, or, to put it even more crudely, incompetence at the time that the riots happened. What he was accused of by everyone, including the Congress party, was connivance in the riots. And that, I think, the 2022 Supreme Court verdict completely throws out the window. But let me go to Abhijit Majumdar, and he wrote this, I think, for News18.com as well as for First Post, that he believes that if the government wanted to, and many have been arguing this as well, including the likes of a former Ministry External Affairs Secretary, Mr. Kaju, that the government should have just ignored this. This is a G20 year. You expect these kind of attacks. You don't have to swat a fly every time a fly comes past you. But you believe, Abhijit, that the government is doing this because it suits them politically, and every time, as I outlined in 2015 and 2020, numerous instances where such potentially polarizing issues came up, and it ultimately helped the BJP and helped Mr. Modi electorally. So you believe that this is being actively kept because the government also somewhere politically benefits. The only thing that's sort of jarring for me is this is a G20 year. This is the year when India is supposed to, it's like a coming out party. India showing confidence, India showing power, it's projecting power. Doesn't this entire episode betray nervousness?
This was like a full toss Zaka bolt to the BJP and the Modi government. Maybe unintentionally by the BBC. I think we are giving too much, reading too much into the fact that BBC may be targeting Modi. They may actually being, after Rishi Sunak in a way, because he is Hindu. There's been a fair bit of unease in the UK, but that's another matter. The thing is that this actually obviously helps the BJP every time Gujarat riots comes up, because we have seen that in the 12 years after the riots, UPA ruled. They tried, they went relentlessly after Mr. Modi. They failed to indict him. It was a war fought through innuendo, conspiracy theories, everything but facts, which proves that Mr. Modi is guilty. The Supreme Court has given its verdict. There is no way that they can win. And also, what happened, the whole, the case after 2002, it constantly told the mass Hindu psyche that one man is being targeted relentlessly because because he is because there is Muslim appeasement in play. So if every time this comes up, why is the Congress and other opposition not hitting the streets? Why are they fighting the proxy war through students and campuses? That is because they are not. They know that it is going to further damage them, which is why they are fighting this through campuses, hoping that at least the student community can be sort of there can be some kind of stir brought among the student community. It's not going to happen. It gives BJP certainly an electoral advantage. Some documentary by BBC could have just, been in the headline for half a day and disappeared if the BJP had not wanted it to be alive. So that is the political part of it. And just an aside, Zaka, Sanjay, it's very interesting that Sanjay mentions Gujarat as a genocide and the 1984 Sikh anti-Sikh violence as a riot, because there were no casualties on the other side in 1984, but in 2002 Gujarat, it started with 59 Hindus being burnt alive in a train, and the number of Hindus then killed in the riots, were about, if I remember, about 300. Whereas 750 Muslims were killed. In which genocide is the other side? So many from the other side also killed.
Okay,
so this is this is just a war of narrative.
Okay. Let me go to Sahil Budwar, and then after that to Ratan Sharda. Sahil Budwar, the problem, like Mr. Paranjpe said, no one has a problem with students wanting to watch whatever they want to watch. You're absolutely free to do that on your mobile phones, on your laptops. The problem is when it's given an organized sort of narrative that certain political backed student bodies are actively seeking to publicize this movie and screen it, when explicitly almost all of these college administrations, whether it's JNU, HCU, Delhi University, have explicitly given orders because the government has blocked this from being telecast on any public platform under Article 16 or Section 16 of the IT Act. What the students are doing is, A, can be construed as illegal because you can't have public telecast of this documentary, and B, the question arises because it's not just about inherent curiosity to watch a documentary, because if it was just about curiosity, you would have done it in your hostel rooms. But to publicize it in an organized way by certain politically affiliated student bodies, I think that's where the questions are being asked. Sahil Budwar.
So, Mr. Zaka, one thing, like one of the previous speakers, as they mentioned that, and you have also mentioned it again, about the administration issuing notices. So, when this thing we talk about, we also need to understand that in any university, in any space of education and institution, the primary stakeholders should be the students. We sometimes forget that. And if the students of any university, even if a large section of students, if not all of them, want to use the university, as a space for documentary screening, for art, for any other kind of collective activity, so that should not be seen as some sort of anti-administration. Administration should let the students, give them an environment to do that peacefully. I don't understand the unrest around that.
No,
and,
Sahil,
again,
one second.
like it is right.
Sahil, give me 30 seconds. Sahil, the issue is, it's not the administrations that came up with this rule, right? It is the government which has barred the telecast or the public telecast on social media platforms and other platforms of this documentary under a particular section of the IT Act. I don't think the administrations have a choice.
Yes, the IT Act.
The administrations have to follow what the government has laid down. You can very well challenge that in court. Nobody has a problem with that. You can go to court and say this is an illegal measure. The government has no powers to do this. Absolutely, you're well within your right to do that.
What I want to say is that,
right? But to say why should the administrations follow the rule as laid out by the government, I'm not sure that cuts ice.
Right. So, what I want to say is that if you see the IT Act and it provides the emergency provisions to prohibit any sort of distribution of the documentary on digital platforms. The IT Act restricts itself to the digital platforms. Yes. It does not apply to any sort of collective screenings of the documentary. So if the students want to see, it's not illegal, it's not banned in that sense. It only prohibits the distribution. But if people want to see it individually or in groups, I think
again,
it does not apply to that.
Because if it's not available on legitimate social media platforms or digital platforms, then you're obviously watching what would be colloquially called pirated versions, which in itself is an illegal act. But be that as it may. Anyway, I think Dr. Pranjpe wanted to make a point, and I'll go to Ratan Sharda right after that. Quickly, please.
Just a very quick point to my young...
Dr. Pranjpe first. Yeah, thank you.
Very, very quick point. Every university administration has the right to decide, for whatever reason, for reasons of security, public order, government diktat. I want to ask my young friend, why is it that none of our great private universities have screened it? Have you thought about that? The fact is, you said the large number of students...
Ashoka University screened it just yesterday, just to inform you. Ashoka University
Okay, one second, let him finish, and I'll come back to you after that. Yeah, let him finish.
Okay, a very small section of the student populace wants this screened in this publicly, should I say, flagrant and provocative manner. I can tell you, even during the heyday of the JNU protest, there were only about, I would estimate, 100, maximum 200 students, which ensured that the entire community suffered. The university was shut for months on end. People's degrees were delayed. So I come from that academic standpoint. Otherwise, see it, debate it, etc., in your own whatever private screenings. But it's an act of provocation which is deliberate. This is where I object.
Okay. No, again, like I said, I don't think the college administrations, particularly if they are state-run institutions, had a choice here. It was the government which put out this order, and as per Section 16 of the IT Act, any public institution would have to follow it. For example, CNN News 18 cannot broadcast this documentary by that same rule. You can't say, oh, Zaka Jacob wants to have a private screening and therefore he's going to telecast it on television. No, it is by the rule laid out by the government that you can't telecast this publicly. But anyway, I want to come back to Ratan Sharda, and I keep coming back to this point, the thing that I asked Abhijit Majumdar as well. This would have been just a storm in a teacup had the government decided to ignore it. You know, it's not a Bollywood movie, right? It's a documentary at the end of the day. How many common people in this country watch a documentary or are interested in watching documentaries? This storm would have blown away. Has the government, by taking the actions it has, given this more publicity, more oxygen than it perhaps deserved?
Well, Zaka, from day one, I have been saying that this is an ill thought out idea of blocking the movie or documentary, because it doesn't serve any purpose in today's days, because you can watch it anywhere. The point is why they're watching it together, why are watching in a mob, and why they're creating a scenario, because they want chaos at any cost. And this is only happening in the left bastions of universities. There are hundreds of universities around India. Only handful are doing all this mischief and all this tamasha. They could easily see on laptop, they could see it on a mobile. But this is a type of agitation they want to create, because they want to create some kind of ruckus. Let us admit that, like the movie Dulhan Wahi Jo Piya Man Bhai, we have an attitude of left and Congress that such wahi jo left ko bhai. So if judiciary goes in their favor, it's great. If it doesn't go into their favor, there is partiality. Whether it's Ram Mandir, whether it's triple talaq, whether it is this particular documentary. A documentary made after 20 years of something happening, of which many years back, Supreme Court has already closed the matter. So we have this issue of deliberately keeping the pot boiling, as Supreme Court put it. And worst thing is published by other people already during the times when Modi ji was being investigated by the UPA-led central government. They could not find anything, but now they are crying blue murder. About genocide already, someone has answered, so I'll not get it there. Okay. Because this writer's anger of genocide, etc., they forget Nelly, they forget Jabalpur, they forget hundreds of riots before this. Nobody remembers the chief minister. Nobody remembers that no punishment was hardly given to anybody. And we know in Gujarat itself there used to be weeks of curfew, and every year there used to be riots. And today they are talking of wonderful wonderful situation that existed. Ram Rajya tha, sab jagah shanti thi. And we know that Modi ji appealed to 3 Congress governments. Nobody supported him. Military came in time, but we'll keep on repeating the same thing. And what are the slogans there? Why I say it's purely political? The slogans of the banners were, we oppose NEP, nothing to do with this film. We oppose CA, nothing to do with this film. It reminds me that CA itself was a fake protest created for chaos, which had nothing against any citizen of India. And then finally they say censorship. And who talks of censorship? Congress. With record of highest number of book bans, highest number of film bans, and SFI, which has killed people across, especially in Bengal and Kerala, where I remember one incident, since we're talking of students, 3 ABP students were chased by attacking mob into a pond, and then they were
Okay.
stoned continuously before they drowned. And this particular attitude also left. Congress killed thousands of people in Bengal. Does anyone remember? Then leftists killed hundreds of activists
Okay.
of other parties. Anybody remember?
So
we should not get into all this. This is pure political game.
So let me ask Sanjay Jha, assuming for a moment the BBC wanted to make, an impartial documentary on what happened in 2002. Now, without getting into what new fact have you brought to light 20 years down the line, is there anything materially different that you have brought to light 20 years down the line? I'm not even getting into all of that. But how can you have a documentary? It's not a fictionalized account, or it's not a one-person account. How can you have a documentary which does not speak to the Supreme Court appointed SIT head? It doesn't speak to the amicus curiae appointed by the Supreme Court. It doesn't speak to any of the judges. In fact, many of these judges who were part of these benches are all retired, so they are very well, they're private citizens now. They can talk to the media. Nor does it speak to any one of the 59 people the relatives of the 59 people who died in that train burning. How can that be a balanced point of view from both sides?
Very relevant question, Zaka. Before I answer that, a quick rejoinder to Mr. Sharda, because he talked about riots. I recommend that he reads a book called Riots After Riots, written by a BJP MP called MJ Akbar, to know who has been behind those riots. And he will get to know the truth of what the Sangh Parivar needs to be accountable to the people of India for. But let me come to the larger question that you have raised, Zaka. Let me answer your question. I heard a panelist mention some time ago that the BBC documentary will play into Mr. Modi's and the BJP's electoral advantage. Then it appears to me a little absurd, if not altogether preposterous, that the BJP is trying to stall it. I mean, they should actually freely circulate that. In fact, give it to all TV channels to demonstrate it. And I'll tell you why they won't. Because I saw the documentary, the first one, and I think it's a very damning expose. And I'm sure there is curiosity in the country to know what the people feel. And this is, by the way, a British government documentary. Now, let's make this clarification, Zaka, very clear. The BJP and its cheerleaders have been spinning this, whole notion that this is a BBC documentary, a BBC TV channel targeting Mr. Modi. This is the British Foreign Office. This is a government document which has now been revealed 20 years later. But that doesn't change facts, does it? So the fundamental question that we need to answer, that have we become so morally degraded today? Is our public standard so low that an individual may become electorally successful, but because you do win elections, doesn't mean that your past has to be obliterated? I don't think so at all. Okay. I think the criminal justice system tells you that there are people who have won elections sitting in a jail. That doesn't mean that we should endorse that, should we? So I believe there is no closure in Gujarat. I think if any of the panelists here has a heart, then I will tell them, go to Gujarat and ask the victims, both Hindus and Muslims. I am willing to concede that point. But go and ask them, have they had closure? And the answer is no. And that is the thing that we should think
Makran Parajpe, I think the point that Sanjay Jha is trying to make is mere electoral victory, how many times it happens or, in how many contexts it happens, doesn't necessarily justify, mass killings that happen in a state. Electoral victories can't be the justification for failing law and order or the redressal for failing law and order.
Neither can a foreign documentary provide closure. I think my friend Dr. Sanjay Jha is contradicting himself. And what has the British Foreign Office got to do meddling with India, appointing its own inquiry committee? Who gave them the authority? Why don't they? Tomorrow Indian High Commission will appoint a inquiry committee about the Leicester riots to show that they were anti-Hindu. This is absurd. This is so colonial. So I still come back to my original contention, which I made on your own show with another anchor, that I'm not in favor of banning things and, or even blocking them, in this case, not banned, but blocked, except in one sense, that this is actually showing the BBC where it belongs, that a sovereign nation has the power to, as it were, block something that is so anti-national. Only that, and only that is a justification. Other than that, I think it's just giving fodder. It keeps giving, more and more attention, more and more oxygen, as you put it rightly, to something that people would ignore when they see how biased it is, how one-sided it is, what a hatchet job it is. I think it should have just been allowed to pass. Or if the government so desired, they could have used, their own, massive machinery to counter it, point by point. And this they've done in the past and score some, really important victories over the misreporting. I mean, the same people have been cited who have been indicted in India. How can they be the paragons of virtue and trustworthiness? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I think, Abhijit, that's a fair point to ask. I mean, for example, I know it's not comparable, but the PIB runs a fact-check Twitter handle every time there is a wrong story or a story that's not correct, or the government has its version. It puts it out on Twitter. So instead of blocking this documentary, wouldn't it have been better served, the government's own purpose in this case, by putting out a point-by-point rebuttal that this is what is wrong with this documentary?
Zaka, as I argued in my article as well, this is a bit of cynical politics. If, the fact check is out there, Zaka, 12 years, 14 years of this whole thing, the whole trial by media, etc. has gone on, and the fact check has been done by the highest courts of the land. So, BJP, PIB sending out fact checks, etc., would not have given the kind of traction that now anything. I'm just telling you, anything that happens, any kind of disturbance that happens in JNU or Jamia or AMU, and exactly they walked into the trap. It plays very, very differently in the public psyche. And this is what I think, it is my reading, I may be wrong, but this is what the BJP actually wants.
All right.
Let it play. I mean, let it play like this.
Okay, let's see how far this goes. But like I said, and I said this at the top, I'm willing to say this again, I don't understand the mismatch. How there is such a brewing storm in some of these campuses, and outside those campuses, people simply couldn't care less. We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to all our guests. It was a fascinating conversation. We'll now move on to our second big topic here on BrassTacks. Is an ongoing standoff between the governor and the elected state government, this time in the state of Telangana. Yesterday, on Republic Day, there were unprecedented scenes. The chief minister did not turn up for the official Republic Day function at the Raj Bhavan. The governor claims that she has no explanation from the chief minister's office. Instead, there were two R-Day functions, one at the Raj Bhavan and the other at the chief minister's residence. Earlier today, I spoke with the governor of Telangana, Dr. Tamilisai Soundararajan. We had an almost an unprecedented scenario on Republic Day in your state, in the state of Telangana, where for the official function of the state, which is hosted by the governor at Raj Bhavan, the chief minister, breaking protocol, did not turn up. He had a separate flag hoisting at his residence. Do you think this is a constitutional crisis? Have you heard from the chief minister or his office as to why he didn't show up for this official function?
Constitution gives us protection. So I really wish you all the best. And as you asked, I am not expecting this connection and this systematic approach of the chief minister is not followed for the past 2 years. If we call him, he won't respond. And if we write a letter also, there won't be any response. And if some invitation is extended to him, and if he is not attending, he won't call and give reason why he is not attending. This type of activity has gone for a longer time. Okay. Quite longer time this situation prevails. So I am also not expecting, but they how they are going to reason it out, and how they are going to explain to the people of Telangana. They are thinking they are doing the correct thing, right thing. But the whole country, a state where Republic Day is not celebrated in a grand manner. It is not, it's not the governor's, it's not Tamilisai's program. It is our nation's program. It is our nation's pride. Every child, because Puducherry I went and celebrated it. All school children joined the celebration, parents, the whole public was in the venue. So the public, the school children, the freedom fighters were denied of their participation in the Republic Day.
Okay.
So what is happening? It is totally, it is not in line.
But ma'am, like you said, this is not an individual's function. This is the function of the state. You as the governor represent the highest constitutional office, and you believe that this is almost like an insult to that office, not a personal insult, but an insult to the office of the governor. How do you plan to deal with this situation? This is almost like a constitutional crisis. How do you plan to deal with it politically and perhaps even legally?
Legally, you would have noticed a case has been filed, emergency bench, lunch bench has been moved, and the court clearly directed that the program, the Independent Republic Day program should be conducted with a parade. But they didn't respect the constitution, and according to me, the court directions were also not followed properly. And they told because of time constraint, we won't be able to conduct it in the parade grounds or public gardens. But I wrote a letter almost 1.5 to 2 months back to the government saying that last year you didn't conduct it properly. You cited COVID, but that time almost COVID was in the resolving phase and all the states had a grand program except Telangana. But remnant of COVID was there. So they cited that because of COVID situation, now the Raj Bhavan should conduct it. And this time, almost we are all safe because of our vaccination, and all the states are conducting it in a very grand manner. So well ahead, by 2 months back itself, I wrote a very detailed letter to the Chief Minister. This time Telangana should have a grand program, and the people participation should be there. And after that, central government guidelines, SOP, has been given to the state governments. They didn't respect anything, and just 2 to 3 days back they came out with a letter saying that a governor should hoist the flag in the Raj Bhavan, and there was no any reason mentioned, and only Chief Secretary and DGP will attend the program, and no public participation. What is this now? Because constitution, it is the pride of our country. Constitution, I have to say, Republic Day is a political function. Constitution Day, this Republic Day is the constitution function program. So, why they are doing this? They are dare enough to do this in spite of the court order, in spite of the SOP from the central government, in spite of the letter from the governor. What respect they have, I don't know.
Ma'am, so the BRS party, which is the ruling party in the state of Telangana, their response to this is that the governor is sitting on bills that have been passed by the Legislative Assembly. I think about 8 bills or so which have been passed by the legislature. The governor is not giving her assent to. She's simply sitting on those bills. So it is a two-way street. If the governor is not respecting the elected government by the people of Telangana, then why should that government respect the office of the governor? What would you say to that specific charge?
This is a lame excuse they are telling. There will be some occasions where the governor can act in a different way. That it is not meant that they should insult the office. That is different. This is different. Another thing I am telling, they are insulting this office, humiliating this office for the past 2 years. The age of the bills were just 5 months. So now they are citing it. And another thing, the constitution says there is no any time limit for the assent of the bill. And recruitment, the new universities, private universities, foreign university, everything, it's a new introduction, and I need some time. I want all the people of the Telangana should be benefited by these schemes. So I need some time, and I have repeatedly told them and repeatedly told in press also. I am not denying it, but it's delaying it also. I am not denying or delaying it. I need some time, reasonable time. As if they have to immediately clear the bill. Nowhere in the constitution it says that. Then I am asking, okay, if I have not cleared the bill also, is that the way they have to act?
Okay, one final question I want to ask you. There was also this BRS leader, Akashik Reddy, who came out and made some very abusive statements against you. I want to know from you, do you plan to take legal action against this gentleman? Just like your governor colleague in Tamil Nadu, in the neighboring state of Tamil Nadu, Mr. Ravi, has sued a DMK functionary for using abusive language against him. Do you plan to legally take action against this BRS leader for the kind of language that he used against you?
Yeah, first of all, it is very disheartening to see such legislatures, such leaders talking about the not only higher authorities, women, and the words they use. Now I am feeling happy that this person only was recommended by the TRS government for the MLC in the governor's quota under service category. And now I feel happy. See, for such a person I have denied. It's justifiable. How they can talk like that? Okay, whether it is legally challenged, whether I can take any action, what is the basic respect they have for the womanhood?
Yeah.
What the basic respect they have for the other person? We are not ordinary person. I am also in the public life for more than 25 years. I am well qualified, well educated, with from freedom fighters family. What is this now? Because I am not a person, so immediately I will be offended. But it is disheartening to see this. I pity them. That's all I can say. I am not hurt. I am not hurt at all. What more than I can expect from these people? But if a woman is insulted like this, I won't keep quiet. It is not me. It is not me. If another person, if a woman is insulted, what is this now? What type of character they have? Let the people decide. And now also I am telling, whether I am going legally, whether I am reporting, nothing.
Okay.
In Telangana, the history will be written. A governor is insulted, humiliated like this. Constitutional office is not respected. Constitutional programs are not conducted. Even at home, we extended a letter and the Chief Minister didn't come, Council of Ministers didn't come.
All right, let me open this up for our face-off. NV Subhash is spokesperson of the Telangana BJP, Bachchu Srinivas, BRS leader. Bachchu Srinivas, it's unprecedented, sir, that the Chief Minister does not go for the official function on Republic Day. It's protocol. It has always been the case that the governor, the highest constitutional authority of the state, conducts the Republic Day, much like the President is the one who takes the salute on Republic Day, and the Prime Minister attends the Republic Day. But the Chief Minister not turning up, and the governor says, there is not even any official explanation for why the Chief Minister did not come.
No, I didn't understand why a Chief Minister has to give the explanation. Maybe, as you said, maybe it is a protocol. The Chief Minister has to attend, or his representation has to attend the function. The representation is there, I believe, 100%. But Chief Minister is not there to explain whatever the governor is asking. Is there any rule, such rule is there?
But every other state, you look at the neighboring state of Tamil Nadu, the state of Kerala, where again, I agree, governors and chief ministers have had run-ins. There the chief minister went to the governor's function. The governor is the one who hosts this Republic Day function in all states.
I request you kindly listen to me. The problem, non-BJP state governors are making the problem. And Telangana is one among them. It is not my word. In Khammam meeting, the Honorable Chief Minister of Delhi, Mr. Kejriwal, and CPI-CPM leaders, and Punjab Chief Minister, they quoted these words. It's not the word of Bachchu Srinivas.
But Mr. Srinivas, please answer my question. In the same opposition states, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, etc., the chief ministers went for the governor's function. Only in Telangana, chief minister did not go.
But the Telangana chief minister may be engaged with some other work. He is unable to attend the function. His representation is there.
Okay.
What is the?
I don't know what work is more important on Republic Day than attending the Republic Day parade. But NV Subhash, spokesperson of the BJP in Telangana, question that's being asked is, it's not like the governor's side is all clean. The governor, the BRS accuses, is sitting on at least 8 bills. many of these bills have been passed with, bipartisan support in the Legislative Assembly. It's not the government that has passed these bills, it's the legislature that has passed these bills, and yet the governor is not signing them.
Absolutely, the excuse is not correct, because the governor has the prerogative to look into the matter, and then he or she of the particular state has all the ability to look into the matter whether the schemes have been properly implemented. And I would just bring to your notice that the governor's speech cannot, it has to be from the state government, but the state government completely, right, in the two assembly sessions also, completely they are deviating from the standard protocols, and then they are giving, the false representation to the governor. So the governor has all the prerogative to look into the matter and then bring to the notice of the public. And also,
sir, the governor's only power in the case of bills that are passed by the assembly, sir, is to, if the governor feels it will not stand the test of law, then reject it, send it back. And if the assembly passes it for a second time, then the governor has no choice but to give his or her assent. Now, in this case, not just in this state, but also in the state of Tamil Nadu, for example, governor is not rejecting the bill, nor giving his or her assent, basically sitting on a bill. The constitution does not allow the governor to sit on a bill.
No. That is absolutely not right. See, the governor, as we have seen in the screen, she has clearly explained, saying that there are so many new schemes, whether this can be implemented or not. She is asking for an explanation, and what is wrong in the particular department or the concerned minister to go to the governor and giving the explanation.
One second, Mr. Srinivas, I'm coming to you. Let Mr. Subhash finish. Yeah, thank you.
The BRS government. We just blame the BRS government. Why the people of Telangana have been deprived of not participating in the celebrations of the 74th Republic Day, where in the whole world, many of the people, the living Indians and abroad also, they feel proud, and then they host, they just hoist the flag, and then they put the flags in their hand, and then we feel proud about it.
Mr. Srinivas, the fact is that last year, you did not have this public function because of COVID. Today, every state had Republic Day parade. The central government had it on Kartavya Path. You saw the parade. On what basis has the Chief Minister decided not to have, or the state government has decided not to have, a grand Republic Day celebration in Hyderabad?
The government has cleared, the government has given the statement, the government has given the very clear explanation, even to the High Court of Telangana. As per the guidelines of High Court, we agreed to conduct the parade as per the interest of governor, or as per the convenience of Telangana government. We conducted the parade in the Raj Bhavan. It is over. It's over. Even
no, sir, speech, that's not what the High Court said.
No.
Sir, that's not what the High Court said.
Let me complete. Even in the speech of saying, the governor, she has not delivered a single word. She has not told to the people the welfare and the infrastructure and the development of Telangana. Being a governor of Telangana, if she has not spoken anything, what is her personal intention praising of
Sir, I want to
government?
come back to the Republic Day celebration. No. Emergency meeting of the High Court. It passed an order saying that Republic Day has to be celebrated in parade ground and that the Chief Minister should attend that. The governor is the constitutional head and she will be hosting that. That was the order of the High Court. That was not followed.
No, it's followed, no? We are very clear. We clearly informed to the High Court of Telangana and we informed to the governor, Honorable Governor, that the state government representation will be there as per the High Court guidelines or the central government guidelines or the regular thing which is completed. Instead of in the parade ground, it is completed in the Raj Bhavan.
Okay, I'll give the final word to Mr. Subhash. Mr. Subhash, what Mr. Bachu Srinivas and the BRS party are arguing is Nowhere is it written that the Republic Day parade has to happen in parade ground. It can happen in Raj Bhavan, and the state has sent its representatives, the Chief Secretary and the DGP. Again, nowhere does it say that the Chief Minister has to attend. It may have broken protocol, but it's nothing illegal.
Yeah, but as you are aware, the Chief Minister, he wants to rewrite the Constitution. He wants to change the Constitution. Maybe this is the process of changing the Constitution, where insulting the governors, not following the standard protocols whenever the Prime Minister or the President of India comes to Telangana, not following the protocols of the High Court, not following any of the protocols. I think they are in the process of the changing of the Constitution. It is an insult to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. It is an insult to the Constitution of India. This kind of things, happening in the state, and then other chief ministers of other states are also coming, and then they wanted to question them whether they are endorsing the chief ministers, Mr. KCR's, the policy of insulting the the governors, the president, the prime minister.
All right, I am completely out of time. I want to thank Bachu Srinivas as well as NV Subhash for joining us. We'll see how this story plays out. Remember, Telangana goes to polls later this year. And this will be one of the contentious talking points, this governor versus elected state government fight that's been going on in many opposition-ruled states, including in the state of Telangana. That's a wrap. Thanks very much for tuning in. On the other side, it's Vantage with Palki Shah.